Hey, I'm Teja Gerken with Peghead Nation, and today I'm here with a very cool prototype Froggy Bottom guitar. It's actually the personal guitar of Froggy Bottom's Andy Mueller, who tried out some new ideas on this that are going to make it into the options that are available from the company basically as we speak. But he's sort of sent this guitar around to a few people to get some feedback on it, and I thought I'd share it with everyone here on Peghead Nation because it's a very cool instrument. You probably noticed as I was playing it that it sounds a lot lower than a regular guitar, and it's a detuned instrument, and what that basically is that it puts it right between a regular guitar and a baritone guitar. Not quite in the baritone range, which would be tuned B to B typically, but tuned down to D, and essentially you can think of this as being sort of like capoed down 2 frets from a standard guitar, and as such, it sort of creates a very unique tonal range. I have seen other makers do similar things before. It's not a completely new thing, but it's not something you see a lot. And especially as standard baritone guitars have become more widespread, it's very interesting to see a different approach to a lower tuned guitar. So let's dig in and take a closer look at what we have here. So this guitar is based on Froggy Bottom's F12. It's essentially an F12 Deluxe with a longer neck, and the neck is indeed sort of the heart of what's different about this guitar. It's got a 28.35-inch scale length. That puts it longer than even some baritone guitars, a lot of baritone guitars. But what's great about this is that when you capo this at the 2nd fret, you have essentially a standard scale guitar, and because it's only tuned down a whole step rather than tuned down all the way to B like a standard baritone would be, once you capo at the 2nd fret, you have a standard tuned E to E guitar, and as such a guitar like this adds a certain versatility that I'm sure will appeal to some players, a lot of players, who may basically want a standard guitar but be able to be lower for certain tunes, but don't want to go all the way into the baritone territory, which also involves transposing it in a different way. So very cool guitar, built with a beautiful European spruce top. Of course, Froggy Bottom really only uses the very finest materials out there, and this is a beautiful example. Tiny bit of bear claw down here in the lower bout, and just a super high quality top. Guatemalan rosewood back and sides. Beautiful center strip, abalone center strip on the back, incredibly looking sapwood on the sides here toward the top side of this. Of course, we have wooden binding, fairly standard black and white purfling on this guitar, beautiful rosette. We have the Froggy Bottom logo, of course, inlaid in the peg head. And Waverly tuners, just the beautiful combination of materials that we're used to with Froggy Bottom, which are always at the very top end of what's available. So about this long neck guitar idea, for starters, you get a lot more clarity even played open like this than you would with a regular baritone. If I'm strumming chords, I still get a lot of note definition. If I did that on a standard B to B tuned baritone, it might start to get a little bit bassy or woofy in the bass range. I know that on my personal baritone, I probably wouldn't play it this way, but with this guitar, there's no issues with that because it's not tuned quite as low. And I should say this is a regular set of medium gauge strings on here, not a baritone set of strings, but because of the extra scale length, you get a similar tension as you would have tuned to standard tuning with a regular scale guitar. Of course, even though I'm fretting a G, this is really an F because I'm tuned down. So if I'm in a jam and I don't want to have to transpose anything with this longer neck tuning, all I have to do is I put the capo on the 2nd fret, and voila, I have a standard guitar. It feels exactly like a standard guitar would. The beauty of this 28.35-inch scale length, as I mentioned earlier, is that once I capo at the 2nd fret, it's a standard guitar scale. Because the guitar has a cutaway, I still get access the same way I would have either on a non-cutaway standard guitar or even higher than that with a cutaway. It's a standard 14-fret neck, so everything looks very similar than it would with a standard guitar. So really plays and feels and sounds just like a great F12 Froggy Bottom would with a standard scale. And of course I could also capo up further. It's really no different from a standard guitar in that your range essentially stays the same. If I'm capoing up here at the 5th fret, which would be like the 3rd fret on a standard guitar, I can still play in all the keys that I would if I'm playing a standard guitar. And if you've played a regular baritone guitar that's tuned B to B, you may have experienced that sometimes the on-the-spot transposing can get a little tricky if you're playing with other people. This kind of opens up a whole different kind of range of both having the ability of being low-tuned by a whole step or basically using a standard guitar with the use of a capo. So it's kind of its own category. I wouldn't call this a baritone guitar, and Andy at Froggy Bottom agrees. It's sort of a long neck, detuned instrument that's sort of its own thing that's kind of between a regular guitar and a baritone guitar. And I think this is a concept that I'd like to see more people experimenting with, because I think it has a lot of potential for many different players. Of course, alternate tunings are a whole other thing that you can get into with this, and if I'm opening this back up without the capo and I tune down, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, lots of potential to tune this down, say from D to C. If I'm going to dadgat, that would of course have a low C, and that's what I'm going to play a little bit with to go out of this video to show you. All of these F-style Froggy Bottoms have always impressed me with a lot of versatility. They sound great to strum. They sound great for playing fingerstyle. It's a relatively large guitar, so you get a lot of power with them. And this really is no different. It sort of brings all those great qualities that I've appreciated about Froggy Bottom F12s into this new concept with the long neck. And as I mentioned, this particular guitar is a prototype of that concept, but it is now available as a custom option on various Froggy Bottom models, really. So anyone who's interested in that should get in touch directly with Froggy Bottom because it is a very exciting new thing that they're doing. So I'm going to go out with this guitar tuned to the dadgat equivalent, which will be C to C, of course, playing a little more fingerstyle. And I hope you get a chance to eventually check one of these out. There's only 2 of these right now, this one and one other one, but eventually there'll be more out there, and it's certainly something to discuss with Froggy Bottom if it's something you're interested in. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please come back here to Peghead Nation for more of our gear demos. My name is Teja Gerken.